Welcome to Week 3, Mini Lecture 3A. Today we're diving into the sentence outline, a powerful technique that forces clear thinking and, crucially, prevents that last-minute paper scramble. We've all been there, typing furiously the night before a deadline, only to realize our ideas aren't quite connecting. The problem isn't your typing speed, it's that the foundational thinking wasn't complete. Most stressful papers stem from starting to write before you truly know what you're trying to say. The solution isn't to write faster, but to think first, on paper, in a structured way that reveals whether your logic holds up. This structured approach is the sentence outline, and mastering it is your primary task this week. This lecture will guide you through its benefits and application in about 6 to 8 minutes, give or take. Let's define what a sentence outline is by contrasting it with what it is not. Building on our introduction, let's clearly define what a sentence outline is by contrasting it with its less effective counterpart. A topic outline, as many of us are familiar with, lists fragments, just a word or a short phrase per point. It gives you a false sense of organization without actually making you commit to a single concrete idea. A sentence outline, however, demands that you write every single point as a complete declarative sentence. This forces you to articulate a specific thought, a complete assertion. It makes you commit to an idea, and then you can immediately evaluate if that idea holds up or if it needs more development. This commitment is vital for rigorous academic work, especially in histotechnology where precision is paramount. We'll look at a specific histotechnology example on the next slide to make this distinction even clearer. Building on our definition, here's a histotechnology example to really show the difference between a vague topic outline and a precise sentence outline. Look at the weak topic outline. It just says antigen retrieval, formalin, and pH. This is incredibly vague. It doesn't commit to any specific statement or implication. It's like saying tissue processing without detailing the steps or their purpose. But the strong sentence outline, in contrast, says exactly what needs to be said. Antigen retrieval is needed because the formalin cross-links that preserve tissue also mask the epitope antibodies must bind. This immediately clarifies the why behind a critical histotechnology step. Then, heat-induced retrieval is standard, and buffer pH strongly affects staining, with higher pH often giving stronger signal. This provides actionable information, linking pH directly to staining outcomes. The sentence version forces you to articulate a complete thought, and either it holds up under scrutiny or it doesn't. Let's explore why this commitment to full sentences is so powerful for clear thinking. This is the absolute core idea for this entire lecture. If you cannot write a point as a complete sentence, you simply do not yet know what you are truly wanting to say. Think about it. A fragment, like tissue fixation, can hide a multitude of vague understandings. But a full sentence, such as formalin fixation cross-links proteins, which can mask antigen sites, immediately exposes any gaps in your knowledge or logic. That exposure isn't a flaw, it's the entire point of this exercise. So when you get stuck trying to turn a point into a coherent sentence, you've just discovered a critical hole in your argument or your supporting evidence. This is a gift, because you found it while it's still cheap and easy to fix, before you've invested hours in writing. Don't skip over those difficult points. You've just pinpointed the exact spot where your thinking isn't finished, and finding it now in week 3 is invaluable for the version of you writing the paper in week 4. This outline truly becomes a dynamic thinking tool, not just a tedious formatting chore. As we just discussed, the sentence outline transforms from a mere formatting chore into a powerful thinking tool. It's not just about organizing, it's about actively constructing the logical framework of your argument. Think of it as building the robust skeleton of your paper. This shift in perspective is crucial for histotechnology students, where the precision of your methodology and findings must be impeccably structured. You're not just filling out a template, you're rigorously testing the coherence and completeness of your ideas before you even begin drafting. This process ensures that every section, from your introduction to your discussion of staining protocols or troubleshooting, flows logically and supports your central thesis. Next week, you'll add the muscle and flesh to the skeleton, but the strength of your final paper depends entirely on the integrity of this underlying structure. This meticulous approach also directly helps prevent that dreaded last-minute paper. So how does this whole sentence outline thing actually prevent that dreaded last-minute paper? Well, it's simple. Once every point in your outline is a real, complete sentence, your paper is mostly assembled. Each of those strong sentences becomes the core, the seed of a paragraph. You're not just staring at a blank page next week. You're expanding ideas you've already committed to with your citations already in place. This shifts your focus from generating ideas under pressure to simply elaborating on what you've already thought through. For instance, if you've outlined a point about optimizing fixation for immunohistochemistry, you've already decided on the key message. Now you just need to add the details about different fixatives like formalin versus B5 and their impact on epitope preservation. This proactive approach saves you from the frantic last-minute scramble, and that leads us right into how we handle those citations. A crucial part of this process and a huge time saver is managing your citations early. As you write each point in your outline, map a citation number directly to it. Make sure these numbers match your AMA reference list. This means your evidence is already linked to your arguments before you even start drafting. You won't be scrambling to find sources later, which is a common pitfall when writing under pressure. Imagine you're discussing a specific staining protocol. Having the reference for that protocol attached to your outline point means you don't have to hunt for it when you're in the middle of writing. This proactive approach ensures your arguments are well supported from the very beginning. Now, let's see how those well-supported points grow into full paragraphs. Okay, let's look at how a single strong sentence point grows into a full paragraph. You start with that clear, concise sentence like heat-induced retrieval is standard and buffer pH strongly affects staining, with higher pH often giving stronger signal. You've already got your citation number attached. When you sit down to write the paper, you just expand that point. The core idea is already there, fully formed. You're simply fleshing it out with more detail and explanation. For example, you might elaborate on how different pH levels impact the unmasking of specific antigens, or discuss the optimal incubation times for various tissue types. This makes the writing process much more manageable. So, how do you actually start building this powerful tool? You'll start with the sentence outline template I've provided. Notice that its headings already mirror the structure of your final paper. Title, introduction, background, the gap, objectives, research question or hypothesis, methodology, significance, and references. Keep the annotated example open right beside it as you work. This will give you a clear standard to follow and help you see how each section should look. For instance, when you're outlining your methodology, you'll specify the exact tissue processing steps, the type of microtome used, and the specific staining reagents. This template is your guide to structuring your thinking effectively. As you construct your outline, remember, you're building a compelling argument, not just listing topics. Your introduction must clearly articulate a specific gap in current histotechnology research or practice. For instance, perhaps there's a lack of standardized protocols for a novel immunohistochemical stain, or inconsistent results with a particular tissue processing method. From this identified gap, your objectives, research question, and proposed methodology should flow logically and directly. This isn't a final paper with results. It's a proposal, so you're outlining a detailed plan for future investigation. This careful construction ensures your entire paper will be coherent and logically sound. Now, let's discuss how peer review fits into this critical process. This week, your discussion board isn't just a forum, it's your dedicated peer review session. You'll post your working argument, your sentence outline by Thursday. This gives your classmates ample time to review it thoroughly. Then you'll actively engage in giving and receiving constructive feedback. For example, a peer might point out an unclear objective or suggest a more precise way to describe a tissue fixation step. Make sure you apply that feedback before your final outline submission on Sunday or Monday, whatever is specified in Canvas. This step is absolutely crucial for refining your argument before it's set in stone. And speaking of feedback, let's talk about why it's so incredibly valuable. My feedback on your outline is truly the most useful guidance you'll receive all term. Think of it as a direct consultation on your research proposal. It directly shapes your paper, helping you strengthen your arguments and clarify your points, perhaps even suggesting alternative staining techniques or troubleshooting approaches. If you build this outline well, incorporating all the feedback, you'll find that your paper is already half written. Do a great job on this and you'll definitely feel the difference next week when you start drafting. I will see you in the discussion forum. Thanks.